Welcome to Holy Week at Pleasant Grove. For each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, we're going to be sharing a short devotion detailing what Jesus was doing on that day during Holy Week. Holy Week is the time between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. Holy Week also has the name Passion Week, and passion from the Latin meaning suffering. This is the week of Christ's suffering. But in thinking about what took place each day, we see quite a bit about what Jesus' purpose and his mission was all about. Yesterday, Palm Sunday, would have been the triumphal entry, Jesus entering in Jerusalem for the very last time. As we move into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I want to share with you a little bit about what was going on. Luke 19, verse 47 and 48 tell us the overarching activities of Jesus. It says, every day he was teaching at the temple. But the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the leaders among the people were trying to kill him. Yet they could not find any way to do it because all these people hung on his words. In chapter 22, verse 37, it says, every day Jesus was teaching at the temple, and each evening he went out to spend the night on a hill called the Mount of Olives. And all the people came early in the morning to hear him at the temple. So what we know is happening on Monday, Tuesday, and particularly Wednesday is Jesus is going back and forth into town, into temple, into Jerusalem, and then back out. On the next day, we read about his interaction in that first Monday. Matthew 21, verse 18 says, early in the morning, Jesus was on his way back to the city being Jerusalem. Now I want to share with you what took place, starting in verse 23 of Matthew 21. Jesus entered the temple courts, and while he was teaching, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to him. By what authority are you doing these things? They asked. And who gave you this authority? Jesus replied, I will ask you one question. And if you answer me, I will tell you by what authority I am doing these things. John's baptism, where did it come from? Was it from heaven or of human origin? So here's the question. They want to know where his authority is coming from. And Jesus says, I will ask you a question. And if you answer it, I will then tell you about my authority. So he poses this question about John the Baptist and the baptism that John offered. It says that they discussed it among themselves and said, if we say from heaven, he will ask, then why didn't you believe in him? But if we say of human origin, we are afraid of the people, for they all hold that John was a prophet. So they answered Jesus, we do not know. Then he said, neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things. This is confrontational. This is not going to be the most confrontational conversation Jesus has with these teachers and Pharisees of the law. But it's certainly going to get more and more confrontational as the days are progressing. They already want to find a way to kill him, to remove him. But this interaction about John's baptism is just the beginning of those confrontations. But I want to share with you what Jesus says to them again on that Monday. First, in the form of a parable. He says this. This is verse 33 of Matthew 21. Listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard. He put a wall around it, dug a wine press in it, and built a watchtower. Then he rented the vineyard to some farmers and moved to another place. When the harvest time approached, he sent his servants to the tenants to collect his fruit. The tenants seized his servants. They beat one, killed another, and stoned a third. Then he sent other servants to them, more than the first time, and the tenants treated them the same way. Last of all, he sent his son to them. They will respect my son, he said. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to each other, this is the heir. Come, let us kill kill him and take his inheritance. So they took him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. Therefore, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants? He will bring those wretches to a wretched end, they replied. And he will rent the vineyard to other tenants who will give him his share of the crop at harvest time. Jesus then said to them, have you never read in the scriptures, the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore, I tell you that the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people who will produce its fruits. Anyone who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces. Anyone on whom it falls will be crushed. Jesus is painting this parable picture of the Pharisees. He's saying the Father has given them a portion of the vineyard, a caretaking role, tenants to care for God's people and God's pasture. But they've mistreated it. When the harvest comes, he has sent servants to collect the harvest. This would be the sending of prophets into the people of God, and they're going to treat them poorly and treat them terribly. The owner of the vineyard is even going to send his son. This is Jesus referring to himself being sent by the Father to these people. And they will want nothing to do with him. And so they'll take him out of the vineyard and kill him. This is yet again a foreshadowing of what's going to happen on Good Friday at the leading of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. And then he's going to mention the rejection of the stone, that this cornerstone, this will happen time and time again, where Jesus will quote from Psalm 118, the Hallel Psalm, one that we shared with you during our Living Last Supper, part of the conclusion of the Passover Seder, and part of the messianic prophecy of the cornerstone, the chief stone that will all build on for the foundation. He's saying it's going to crush them. In verse 45 and 46 of this chapter, ends with this. When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard Jesus' parables, they knew he was talking about them. They looked for a way to arrest him, but they were afraid of the crowd because the people held that he was a prophet. They wanted to kill him. They wanted to arrest him. They wanted to do away with him. This is the confrontations that are leading up every day while Jesus is in the temple, in Jerusalem, in the seat of power. And we're going to see that over the next day as well, as he will have these moments with the Pharisees. I would invite you to tune back in with us tomorrow as we continue this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Holy Week lead up, where we're learning about what Jesus was doing. And we would love to invite you Friday night to our Good Friday service. It'll be at 6:30. We also have an amazing set of services on Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning, at 6:30 with our sunrise service, and then at 9 and 10:30 with our morning worship gatherings. We hope to see you as we celebrate that he is risen at Pleasant Grove. Thanks so much for tuning in.